It's kind of a different TikTok than what I've been making recently, but I wanted to talk about like an interesting campaign story that also has kind of a little bit of a lesson about module prep. So recently I was running a session of Curse of Strahd. Light spoilers for Curse of Strahd, by the way. And my players were fleeing Vallaki, this town right here. Normally when they've left Vallaki in the past, they've headed west up this road to the north, and then along this path to wherever they were going to go. But for the first time, they decided to head south instead along this bend. And while prepping, I noticed that there's a building here, Argynvostholt, that I had never described to them before. So I went through the effort of, like, talking about it, describing the place, and unbeknownst to me, even though that wasn't where I prepped for them to go. A funny story about, like, module prep is a lot of the time you kind of have to predict where your players are going to go because you're running in a pre-written world. I kind of expected them to flee Vallaki and go to the only other walled settlement in Barovia, Kresk, which is all the way over here. However, upon me describing Argynvostholt to them as they went around this bend, they decided to go there instead. The thing about that was good for me is that they ended up getting into a random encounter around this part of the road, fighting a dude, and then deciding to camp on the side of the road. But it's just an interesting part of module running where you end up having some funny things like this happen, where now I have to prep all of Argynvostholt, even though that wasn't where I was planning on them going, just because I over-described a building as they were coming down this bend. Things like that happen.